everybody. Welcome back to lesson 4 of the Forgiveness Mentorship course. And today we're going to be talking about bitterness, how to take a stand against bitterness, how to root out the bitterness tree that could be growing in your own life right now, and also how to safeguard against that from coming back, from having that pop back up in your life in the future. So I think that it's important to have this topic be brought up a few weeks after the first week, where you started to make your list about why, about all of the different people or the different situations that you have unforgiveness, that you know you for sure have unforgiveness in your heart for. Because sometimes when we are holding a grudge against somebody, it can be buried so deep we don't even know that that's in there. Or we know that it's there, but it's so big, it's such a stronghold in our life, it hurts so much for us to even touch on that topic that we just allow it to sit there. And so hopefully by now your spirits have been opened, you are listening to me with the ears in the spirit realm. You are allowing your spirits to really speak to you and minister to you about what your soul needs in order to heal. And when your soul heals, so will your body. Your brain will start to make healthy connections, and physical ailments, related to unforgiveness will leave you. And so I pray again that you are listening to me with your ears that are open in the spirit realm, and you're allowing me to really minister to you in that place. So again, the root of bitterness is extremely toxic and destructive, and it's warned against specifically in the Bible many times. And I like what Bill Johnson says, which he says bitterness is murder in diapers, meaning if you don't take care of it right away, the thing that grows from that is eventually murder. And depending on how far along your tree is in growing, you might have even thoughts of, I can't wait for that person to die, or I wish they would get in a car accident, or things like that. That is opening more and more doors for the spirit to come in. So it's important to be aware of the kind of thoughts, the kind of feelings that you have throughout the day. I talk about, with all my clients, knowing your baseline. Where are you normally during the day? And then paying attention to any time that you're either way up from that or way down from that baseline, because that's going to give you an idea of where your triggers are. And on the positive side, when you're feeling way above your baseline, you're going to find out what gives you energy, that can often point to your destiny, things that you're supposed to be doing in life, your purpose, and things like that. So it's important to know yourself and to know when you're experiencing those changes, because your emotions are meant to alert you to things, either good things like, hey, this is something I really enjoy doing, or hey, I really need attention over here. This thing is really bothering me and it has to get taken care of. So when you are aware of this, it's easier to deal with. And that's something that I want you to work on as well, which is knowing your baseline, paying attention, writing down your thoughts. What kind of thoughts are you having during the day? That's going to show you, where your baseline is. It can also allow you to track how to get into a different mindset. So if you find yourself constantly thinking negative thoughts about everything, regardless of if it involves you or not, you just don't like that person's hair or that person's outfit, when you pay attention to these very critical or negative thoughts, even towards things that have nothing to do with you, it will give you an idea of how to change your mindset into a positive one. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit off topic, but I want you to know that this has a wide range of implications for paying attention to your baseline. Okay, so bitterness and resentment are actually linked to many health issues, health concerns in your physical body. Science has been able to prove that these that just harboring these emotions inside of you causes your body to be sick. And remember what I said about your soul, because these happen in your soul. Your soul is in between your body and your spirit, and so it kind of seeps into either one. It can make your spirit sick, it can make your body sick, and that's absolutely what happens. And there's many scriptures, which I included in the PDF, that talk exactly about this, that whatever is inside of you is going to flow out. Okay, so besides physical health issues, um, our bitterness obviously has very severe psychological and spiritual related issues. There are even a whole disorders, if you will, a bunch of whole new psychological disorders that are called post-traumatic embitterment disorders. And these all have to do with bitterness, the effects of bitterness in your mind, and then of course in your brain. And so the world, it seeks to categorize and make sense of the onslaught of demonic activity that inhabits so many people. And so we need to know how to deal with bitterness, not just for our own health, but how to teach our children how to do this healthily, how to help other people in our lives, our friends or relatives, how to instruct other people how to get rid of this once and for all. And, I actually noticed the more that I was working through these, very intently, very purposefully working through each of these things that God would bring to my mind every day. Again, I didn't have a roadmap like I'm giving y'all. I was just like, I gotta get rid of this. I knew it was affecting me. I just had no idea how to get rid of it. And so I was really, really, really pursuing it. Hours a day, every day. And, for over a year and a half, I just asked God to show me how to get rid of it. And I started to notice how many people were in leadership positions who had bitterness issues, even some of my best friends who were seemingly very loving people, but once you started to speak with them and your spirit man, your spirit eyes and ears were open, you saw that there were lots of roots of bitterness that were rooted in those people, and you could tell by the words that they were speaking, the actions that they were doing, the looks, the body language. And so it's all around us. And so there's probably more people in your life that need to be helped with this issue than you can think of even right off the bat, naturally right now. So again, that's like something that I really want to see people free from, because once you realize all of the negative things that come from unforgiveness and all the amazing things that come through forgiveness, regardless of how horrible your situation is, once you realize that forgiveness is separate than reconciliation, it's also separate from justice. I can forgive somebody and still demand justice. And they're separate issues, And so once I understood forgiveness as not being tied to either one of these things, and I saw the amazing tree that could grow instead of bitterness, it made it so much easier. It made the process so much easier. So I hope that you will allow the possibility, at least allow the possibility that there's something better for you to come, as I'm speaking in this video. And again, when we forgive, it doesn't mean that we say, okay, that was okay the way that you treated me. It was okay what you did to me or what you did to somebody else. We're not saying that we agree at all with that behavior. But we are saying, like, I cannot let your behavior, what you did to me, you toxic person, you damaged person, you evil person, whoever you are, that you did something to me, it's not going to control my life anymore. And again, I specifically wrote these courses from my own situation, which was dealing with an extreme narcissist, definitely a sociopath, but I believe he's a psychopath. That's neither really here nor there, but all of the people who enabled him, an unjust court system, all of this stuff that was happening to my babies, and no way to defend them. And when I looked at where I was, I realized I was exactly where he was hoping I would be. He was hoping that I would stoop to his level. He was hoping I would never move on. He was hoping that I would lose everything in my life and I wouldn't rebuild. And so it's really important that you look at things objectively and not just allow your emotions to kind of cloud how you're seeing things at this exact point in time. Because God wants you to be free of it for sure. And bitterness will kill you. There's, physically in the natural, there's a whole stress-related illnesses with heart disease and other issues that happen in your body because of this. So allow what doesn't serve you to get away from you. I found a way to get rid of the pain to get rid of the bitterness, the anger, the hatred out of my life. That stuff doesn't serve me. You know what does serve me is healing. And it not only serves me, it's serving you now. You all are watching this video that I'm making to explain to you my own healing and what's absolutely possible for you. And so turn the bad situation that you've been through make it into something that will serve you and serve your life and serve your purpose and serve other people. That's ultimately what I'm getting at here. So in the PDF that came with this course, you're going to see I've listed some ways for you to, 7 ways for you to tell if you are bitter. And you are going to be able to see, again, number 1 is pay attention to your thoughts. You got to know your baseline. When that was the first thing that I noticed, where my thoughts were, I was having thoughts I knew were not my thoughts. This is not how I think. I had an awareness of where my normal baseline is. So I encourage you to go through those 7, really sit and get an idea of where you are, and start processing that, admit, be honest with yourself. Okay, I'm really right here, and this is where I need to start going towards. This is what I need to start working on first, and things like that. The next part of this lesson, I want to cover jealousy and bitterness. There is a great link between jealousy and bitterness. And first of all, you'll see that I've listed the 10 commandments. Again, this isn't really meant to be like a religious class. I don't want you to get into like, I got to do these things and I got to keep these rules. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying, out of those 10 things, I believe that the commandments were given to help us live the best life possible. These weren't just like, do these rules, because God's a strict God and he just wants us to be doing things in line. It was meant as a father giving his children, hey, if you follow these things, you're going to have the best life. You're going to walk into the fullness that I have for you. And if you will take a look at those 10, you will see that that 2 of them specifically deal with jealousy. So a 5th of the commandments have to do with jealousy. And jealousy, if you also look, it's the stem of murder, adultery, stealing, and lying, and it doesn't honor. And so actually jealousy leads to committing all of these commandments, breaking all of them. And so bitterness is the root and jealousy is the stem. So when we talk about this tree that's growing, bitterness are the roots of that thing. When it keeps growing, jealousy is the stem. We're going to find out about what's the branches and what's the fruit of this in just a second here. But I want you to see how quickly this can grow, how quickly this can get out of hand, and why it's so important to know your baseline, so that once you do uproot this, you can start getting the seeds that are going to be scattered. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit bitter. You're able to recognize that and root it out before it's a whole tree. The opposite of love is fear, and fear breeds bitterness and jealousy. So you can't say, I trust God, or I believe that this situation is going to turn out for me in a different way. You cannot say these things and still have jealousy and bitterness in your life. Because bitterness can only grow wherever there is not love, joy, or peace planted. So we're going to discuss this throughout the course, but it's not enough to just uproot the bitterness or to uproot the jealousy. Whatever the issue, the root of the issue is, it's not enough. Something else has to be planted there, because it's only in the absence of perfect love, it's only in the absence of joy that these things can grow. And so you're going to have to learn how to create the environment that just simply doesn't allow bad things to grow. And we're going to be talking about that throughout this course. So jealousy fosters discontent and distress. It binds our freedom. It leads to deep resentment. It causes us to do things we normally wouldn't do, and it can spiral into depression. Thankful people are not jealous. Thankful people are not jealous. And it doesn't matter if you don't have a lot. You can still be grateful. You can still be thankful. And I talk about this in another lesson coming up, but for me, I started to write down between 3 and 12 things every single day, and I still do it today. So for years, I've been writing down 3 things that I'm grateful for, and you'll The more that you are aware of something, the more you're going to be more aware of it. That will naturally grow because you're planting the seeds, you're watering the seeds, you're expecting it to grow a tree, it's making fruit, and the more that you do that, the more you're gonna build a harvest. So, in other words, stop focusing on what you don't have and focus what you do have. Again, it's the shift of perspective. And you guys might be thinking this is just a mind trick. It's really not. It's shifting your whole spirit. It's about bringing your spirit into the light and allowing the darkness to go away. There can be no more shadows, because this stuff only grows in the dark. It only grows where, again, there's a lack of light and love. Okay. And I do talk about this more here, but I do want to say you can easily kill the spirit of jealousy with generosity. You can easily kill it with generosity. Whenever you see something and you're like, they shouldn't have that, or you find yourself saying, like, what did they do to deserve it? Start sowing seeds into those people. I'm talking about money seeds. If you see somebody who has something that you want, Bill Johnson tells a story about how, people win a car because they're the 10,000th customer or whatever. And you feel like they already have 4 cars. They don't need a 5th car. And what do? You should go and buy them the first tank of gas, because that is going to kill the spirit of jealousy. And there is no lack in kingdom. Again, this is about perspective. We think of things as finite and limited because we live in earth, but when we allow our spirits to reside in heaven where there is no lack at all, we should be bringing the no lack into earth. We shouldn't be allowing the earth to dictate to us how we think and how we live. We need to be having our spirits so connected with Holy Spirit in heaven that we see that there's no lack in heaven, that we have nothing to be anxious for. We have no reason to be worried. We don't need to be jealous about the person who wronged us, who's just out there living their life. It doesn't work that way. We only are seeing a very limited part of the picture. We can't see all the things that are happening behind the scenes. And so you're getting distracted. You need to get back on, focus on your own self, your own life. Focus on the Rhema words that the Lord has spoken over you right now that you need to be working on, because those are the things that you can control. I want to talk very quickly about the law of attraction. This is a counterfeit. This is a counterfeit law. So you've probably heard it explained as if, like, if I think about the positive things, and those positive things are going to come to me, right? Like, if I will myself to earn 7 figures a year, and I'm just going to do it. No, that's not it. This is a counterfeit law. The actual law is the law of sowing and reaping. You will attract, in other words, you will reap whatever you actually are. You reap what you sow. So if I'm a bitter person, I don't like anybody, I'm critical of everybody, but I'm willing myself, I'm saying over myself, I'm going to make 7 figures a year. I'm not going to make 7 figures a year because I'm jealous, I'm bitter, I'm actually angry. What's inside of me, it doesn't matter what words I speak, because what's inside of me is flowing out the other 99% of the time. And so what you actually are is what you're going to attract. Once you are whole, once you have the self-worth, once you have the identity, and then you're speaking these things, I am worth this, that's what you're going to attract, because you're reaping what you're sowing. You've actually done the work to improve yourself. You've actually done the work to get your identity reconnected to God. You have aligned your heart into the will of heaven and things like that. So this is a very important part of this, because I understand people are all going crazy over The Secret and things like that, but that's actually a counterfeit to the real thing. The real thing is knowing who you are and whose you are, and allowing everything else to flow from there. And if you can do those 2 things, and if you can do those 2 things constantly in every situation, regardless of if a wrong is done to you or not, then you will absolutely reap what you will sow. You will attract what you actually are. Okay, so you can read a little bit about my story. I put it in the PDF. And again, we've talked about, I've said this before, about it's not enough to just take out the root of bitterness. It's not enough to just uproot the tree of jealousy. We actually have to put something else in that place. We have to make space. Your life could be so crowded with jealousy and anger and hatred, bitterness, that there isn't any room for love to grow. There isn't any space for trust or new relationships or anything healthy to grow. It's all being choked out by these, by these evil things. And so you gotta make room. And when you understand, like, I'm choosing one or the other right now. I either choose to be angry at this person, and then that means I can't have love come in another area in my life, because I'm saying yes to the anger over love. I'm saying yes to the bitterness over joy. You are saying yes to something and you're saying no to something else. You can never have both of them. You can't say yes to both. And I've heard it from my clients before, where they say, well, that doesn't actually, that's just that one part of my life. I'm compartmentalizing. It doesn't seep over to this other area. No, that is such a lie. When you take a look at a forest in the natural, you're going to be able to see that the whole ecosystem is very important, and actually all the trees underneath the ground's roots touch one another, so that if one is lacking something, they can pull it from there. If all the trees in your forest are all unhealthy, there's no space, again, for something healthy to grow. So I wrote a prayer in the PDF that I want you to pray out loud over all yourselves, and I want you to work through these exercises and reflections that are at the end of the chapter as completely as possibly. Remember that you get in what you put out. So if you're just going to go, I watched the video, I read through the manual, and then that's it, you're not going to reap the fullness of what's available to you. I'm giving you the roadmap to do the work yourself. I've done the work and I can provide you a roadmap, but I can't go in and actually root out all of these trees for you. You have to do that work. And so I really encourage you to spend as much time as you need until you know that tree is rooted out of your life. Don't give up on it. Refuse to settle for it being half chopped down. That's not good enough. Have the fullness available to you. Make the space so that you can receive the good things from heaven. The storehouses to be open over you. All right, I will see you guys in next lesson.